This is officially the first video for the Unmasked, the Narcissist Matrix YouTube channel, and I'm super excited to be here on this journey with you all. First of all, who am I? Why in the world would anybody want to listen to me? I'm going to explain with my personal experiences with narcissism that will cover all forms of the NPD disorder across many relationships and dynamics. Yes, I was fortunate enough to have relationships with the grandiose, covert, and malignant narcissist types throughout a 35-year span. Drop a comment below with the NPD types that you've had personal encounters with or still currently dealing with. So let's get to it. Who I am and who I was are two very different people. Let's start with who I am today. I've been narcissistic abuse-free for 3 years now. My healing journey over the past few years has included talk therapy, hundreds of hours of research online, including YouTube channels and videos about NPD disorders, over 1,000 hours of meditation, losing over 100 pounds physically, traveling to over 25 countries alone on a spiritual journey, and even climbed some of the highest mountains of the world. What I'm most proud of is being able to let go of attachments, dropping addictions, building strong boundaries, and I'm fully free from the narcissistic matrix that kept me numb and stuck for decades. Good for me, right? I don't share that to brag or boast, as I'm not someone who really relies on external validation anymore. Narcissism will teach you that lesson if you are willing to learn it. I share this because I came back to help and inspire because I know firsthand how dark and how destructive narcissism abuse is. I'm grateful to be here, to be making this video right now. My mother suffered NPD abuse for many years, and it played a massive role in her developing schizophrenia, which ended up altering her life forever. And you may be thinking, okay, Joseph, you're this world traveling awesome guy now. So what? Who cares? Yeah, that's fair. That's valid. The significance is about who I was just a few short years ago. And I used to be a victim, a distracted, lazy, unmotivated adult who wouldn't leave the house by myself. I was a completely codependent person, clueless about everything and anything related to narcissism. I was stuck in a relationship with a narcissist that I just couldn't leave regardless of what they would say or do to me. And I never understood why I wouldn't or couldn't leave. It was like this invisible force keeping me trapped that I wasn't capable of understanding at that time. I was riddled with addictions to numb the pain and quiet my intuition. Although I didn't understand what I was really distracting myself from, I would seek comfort in any way I could. From binge eating food, nicotine, video games, porn, TV, shopping addictions, all the things deemed okay by the Matrix, even though in a lot of cases they aren't really that good for us at all. In 2021, I found myself 100 pounds overweight at 265 pounds while enduring a final discard, experiencing a trauma bond I didn't even know was possible to happen. It really is total madness when you think about it. I'm withdrawing from a person chemically because they conditioned me to endure the abuse for the reward of the love I was once given. It's like, wait, what? They didn't really love me. This was all a trick. The quote, "There can be no despair without hope," comes to mind. I was engaged to a covert narcissist for 5 years, in which I lost a stepdaughter that I had helped raise from the age of 3 to 8. When the final discard hit, and everybody and everything was gone within 2 days to never be heard from ever again, I knew something unnatural was taking place. I just didn't understand how and what was happening to me. I could literally feel my mind wanting to break though. This triggered what is called dark night of the soul. It's a phenomenon where your intuition finally steps in and says, enough, we're going to finally evolve and learn from this. Call it an upgrade or a red pill to escape the matrix. Just a few days later, I would discover what NPD disorders are. What led me to find out? I'll explain. I am curious how you all found out you were dealing with narcissism. Drop your light bulb moment in the comments so we can read. For me, it started when I did a Google search about how can someone leave without saying goodbye? And what does it mean when someone is never sorry with no remorse? I saw a post from Quora and one of the comments just happened to catch my eye. It was explaining what covert narcissism was. If you would have asked me what narcissism was up to this point, I would have said it's someone who is cocky and entitled. I didn't know it was a personality disorder or that it had different versions or severities. It was the missing puzzle piece. As I began studying NPD more, listening to others and their stories, I knew exactly what I had just experienced. Surviving narcissism is tough. To deal with the loss, the feeling of abandonment, the betrayal, And the confusion of it all is one of the toughest things that a person can live through. About a week after going through the YouTube narcissism rabbit hole, I realized narcissism wasn't a random encounter, but something I was experiencing over and over and over again in my life. So it's like, okay, I just got used and tricked for the past years by someone with an MPD disorder. At this stage, I'm the absolute worst version of myself due to the abuse, managing a trauma bond, and to top it all off, this also explains my childhood. What I realized that I wish I knew then is that finding this out was one of the best things that could ever happen. If you're new to this subject, I have no doubt you wholeheartedly disagree as I would have in the beginning as well. What's the alternative to not being aware and knowing though? To continue accepting narcissists in my life to chew me up and spit me out until I pass on? No thank you, it's time to evolve. One of the first steps to change is being aware of what is going on, and I hope everyone gets to a place of gratitude with this. Until then, I validate everything that you believe to be true because only you know fully what you've experienced. So I discover what narcissism is. I spend the next 6 months going no contact with a couple of hiccups along the way, which I'll explain in a future video. It's a big no-no. It was a tough 6 months, and I had a lot of areas in my life I neglected, which also included me being a father to a then teenage son. NPD abuse taught me about transactional relationships and how I never learned to truly connect with anyone. One of the hardest things to face after NPD abuse is the amount of shame that you have to face. The shame of you blaming yourself for things not working out as if you aren't good enough. The shame of the neglect that you can give to yourself and other important people in your life. Narcissistic relationships are like black holes. It consumes almost, if not all, of your energy. Within that 6 months, I started to take meditation seriously. I focused on mental health with talk therapy. I lost 80 pounds of unhealthy weight. I sold all my material possessions. I quit all my addictions. I left other relationships that were not good for me. And I said goodbye to my codependent past as I took off to travel around the world by myself with no plan other than to get out of my comfort zone and experience new things. We all get stuck sometimes. At different times, in different ways. My hope is to inspire small steps that lead to big changes for anyone that happens to stumble to these videos. Each week, we'll unpack a new key topic when dealing with narcissistic abuse and some of the best ways to move on from it. And I'm excited to share this journey with you guys. I'll see you on the next video.